A good day to our lecturer, Dr. Raja Kamil. And today we'll be presenting on our assignment 2, which is the smart appliances with artificial intelligence. And for the smart appliance that we chosen is autonomous vehicle. So my name is Devendra Naidu, son of Rajan Renu. I'm a number 193479 with my team member Muhammad Akmal Muhammad Zabidi, which is my team number 191990. All right, so first I'll explain on the brief introduction for our assignment. So the intelligent control that we have chosen for this is fuzzy logic. So what fuzzy logic is? It is a rule-based system that relies on an operator's practical experience, and it's especially good for capturing experience, operator knowledge. It is a type of artificial intelligence software. It is classified as a subset of AI, a computing approach based on degrees of truth rather than the traditional true or false, ones or zero by Boolean logic. So from the image shown there, it's a difference that's shown between a Boolean logic and fuzzy logic. So binary logic is either 1 or 0, while fuzzy logic is a continuum of values between 0 and 1. So for example, we have choose the example which is application for fuzzy logic is when we are to measure a certain degree of hotness. It's for Boolean logic, it's either it is hot or it is not. But for when it's fuzzy logic, it can be segregated to different level degree of hotness, which is very much, fairly, moderate, somewhat, or very little. Right. So this is a big introduction for intelligent control, which is fuzzy logic. So I'll pass down to Akmal for the objectives.
Okay, I'll be continuing the presentation with the objective. So at the end of the assignment, students will be able to apply professional engineering solutions in a societal and environmental context. And then students also can understand the impact of intelligent control in the society and environment of the modern era. This is due to this assignment is mainly focusing on the society and the environment, and what can the intelligent control such as fuzzy, such as neural network can impact give impact to the society and environment. So third, comprehend knowledge and understanding of the project management principle for future use. So this understanding the project management principle is very crucial due to students are going to have a graduation soon, and this is the last time. So project management is very helpful for the students, as soon when they enter the industry, the boss might pass them a project, and then they need to manage it carefully, and also need to understand the principle too. And then they need to construct a work. Student able to construct a work for the design or system that been chosen and solve the financial terms of the project. So we move on to the next slide, the application selection. So for the application selection, we choose the fuzzy logic controller in autonomous vehicle. So why are we choosing the autonomous vehicle? We are choosing the autonomous vehicle because autonomous vehicle been under research for very much decades. Autonomous vehicle also can be seen on our highway, such as Tesla, which means that this autonomous vehicle can be actually is a possible way. There's a possible way to develop it. So we are trying to applying the fuzzy controller in an autonomous vehicle. So the main purpose of AV is to reduce car accidents cases and raise the safety of the people and nature in the surrounding. So why we use fuzzy logic? Because fuzzy logic is simple and it didn't require any mathematical calculation or algorithm. So it's actually we need to identify the input, and then we need from the input we need to create membership functions. We need to develop the rules, and then link it with the output. So we already know the output. So we already know the input, and then we just need to create the membership function. And then what will control what will as you can see below, there's a figure there. There's sensor and data regulation. So from this sensor and data regulation is what we are trying to develop. And then they enter the interface circuit. The interface circuit will tell the fuzzy logic controller the input, and then with the help of intelligence and computer vision, they will give an output, notification, speed, steering and brakes to the driving circuit. So the driving circuit is the output. So notification might be in in fuel, in the tire pressure, brace for impact maybe, and then the speed, which is mainly focusing on is it the surrounding is safe for the car to raise up the speed. The steering, if the location needed to go to the right, and then the steering will go to the right, it will turn to the right, and then the brakes for any object in front, they need to brake. And then from the driving circuit, they will pass to the actuator, switches, and bar, and etc. Okay, what will the controller monitor and manage throughout the process? So what are the fuzzy logic controller trying to control? So these are the controllers and sensors. Middle is the fuzzy logic, and then all the sensors will be sending their data into the fuzzy logic, and the fuzzy logic uh, will be translate the data and pass it to the output and create an output. So first we talk about the LiDAR system, LiDAR sensor. So LiDAR is light detection and range sensor. So it's mainly used for 3D mapping to detect the surrounding what we call contour, and then it also paired with GPS sensor to identify the roads and which one is the road, which one is not. And then is there LiDAR sensor also can detect is there any building near you. Also can detect the moving object left and right, front and back. And then we have this radar sensor. As we all know, radar sensor is to detect the surrounding, the range. There's a range of sensor. So this radar sensor is to detect the surrounding object near them, near the car, near the sensor lah. So if there's any object near it, then the sensor will give a pinpoint that there's on the map that there's an object near them. And then we have the camera. For the camera, it's also for the it is used for uh, night vision. It has also night vision. It also can be used for parking features, which also can help the car park itself. And then camera also can be used for if any car accident happen, then the camera is already built in the car, so there's no need to use dash cam because they already have the camera built in. And then we go to the next slide. We have the existing autonomous vehicle. There are three existing autonomous vehicle. There are more, but these three are the focus for this project, which is the Tesla, of course, the most successful car in the country, not the country lah, in the autonomous vehicle project. So, and then we have Waymo, a Google company, and then we have Reka, which is a local company that they are trying to create an autonomous vehicle. Okay, we continue with the sustainability of the project. So the sustainability is the ability of a product to operate in a period of time. But there are many kinds of terms of sustainability. So we go through one by one. Which is first we go with the design. So the product design, which is the base of the product design, is the car actually, not the car, the vehicle, which is and also the fuzzy logic controller. So the product design is basically based off the car, the vehicle, and the fuzzy logic controller. So the car actually, the vehicle is producing carbon dioxide due to using the fuel. Right. So if the speed of car or the consumption of fuel can be not minimized, it can be constantly used. The consumption of the fuel can be constant. Then the carbon dioxide also can be reduced or can be controlled actually. So from the product design, with the help of fuzzy logic controller, the car can be fixed to only operate with a speed only maximum of 80 km per hour, and then with the average speed of 50 km per hour in town. So with the 50 kilometer per hour in town, we what we call it is maintained at 50 kilometer per hour, and then the consumption of fuel is not much because it's constantly at 50. And if a human driving a car, the speed is not constant. Sometimes it can be too slow, and then sometimes it can be too fast, and then human also loves to change pace of the car, so they change the speed. Sometimes at one time they press the pedal too hard, and then the speed or the energy, the fuel consumption is up, and then sometimes they slow down. The change of pace of the car is can be easily affect the fuel consumption, and then due to if the fuel consumption is very high, then the carbon dioxide also will be raised too. Then we go to the packaging design. So as we can see in the Reka part just now, the Reka part, they shown that there's electronic use or electronic parts that being used in the product and project. So these electronic components need to be covered too. So these electronic components need to be securely have a case, and then have a casing, and then the best way is to use 3D printer, but not only the material of the 3D printer must be polyurethane, because polyurethane have the ability to heal itself. The item ability to heal itself. If the item is produced is designed to have an open and close frequently, need to open and close frequently, then there's a possibility that the joint of the casing will be breakdown, but not in polyurethane. Polyurethane can heal itself, so there's the casing can be closed and open very frequently. So without having any damage to the casing. And then the disposal option. So the disposal option, as for me, the disposal option needed needed because it is to ensure that there is no pollution actually in the based from this project. So we want to reduce the pollution. So we can try to create the company can try to develop a green team. So this green team can help to recollect all the items or the electronic components that are damaged, and then they can refurbish it, or they can re-extract it, all the components, and then identify which one can be used and which one can be disposed safely. And then from the which that can be used, can be still be used, can be also recycled it to be used in the next product.
All right, thank you, Akmal. So now I will be presenting on the project management and finance for this assignment. So firstly, is on starting up an autonomous vehicle company. So these are the 5 criteria that we feel that it is the most suitable for when setting up an autonomous vehicle company. So first is local professional advice and help. So why is this important is that when venturing into a new field, which is in the form of business of our autonomous vehicle, it is wise to always seek professional advice, because they can share with us their experiences that they've gone through, the challenges, and also all the steps that they've taken for them to establish a well-established company. So we can always seek advice from them on which forms to fill up, and what are the necessary steps, and what are also the tricks that under the sleeves of all these well-established businessmen use for them to always maintain a good, profitable, and a good performance for the company. All right, that is the first step. So the second step is to opening a bank account. So why is bank account important? And because in a company, we know that there's always continuous cash flow in and out of the company, where it is used um, for production, and also for sales, and also for when we are also spending on raw materials, for hiring labor, and also so on. So it is always wise to have a bank account for us to actually regulate the cash flow in and out. And it is also important so that it doesn't the company's bank account it does not get confused with a personal bank account that is linked to the company. So they do not there won't be any predicaments in the future that is caused because there's no account that is um, set for a company. Right. Next is securing a strategic company location. This is the most vital step in starting up a company. It is always advisable to first look out for the target market for our company. For example, in this case, our company is on autonomous vehicle, so we have to always locate which as our target market. So for us, we believe that the target market will be suitable for residential areas because residential areas usually the trips that they take are usually from their homes to local stores, malls, or any nearby stalls or any restaurants and so on. So even for the short trip itself, using fossil fuels actually um, cost them quite some money. And we know that our autonomous vehicle that uses fully or partially electrical energy is able to provide safe energy for them and also reduce the use of fossil fuels. Moreover, another great use of a target for autonomous vehicle is usually in the city centers. So we know that in city centers, traffic jam is quite bad, and one ways, and oftentimes in the traffic jams we see a lot of micro sleeps occurring between people because they are tired from work, coming back from a 9 to 5 work daily, and they have to face a traffic jam which takes about an hour, more than an hour. So, and this can cause them to go into a state of micro sleep, and which will in fact result in accident. So, if we would suggest them that to take up to to market our autonomous vehicle to them, we could provide them a safety because they understand they might go into the state of micro sleep, but they understand that the autonomous vehicle is capable of self-driving and ensuring avoiding any accident. All right. So next is structuring of management, human resource, and employment. So once we know that we have already established a company location, opening a bank account, and also listing the company, register the company, we need to carefully structure the management of the company. So we need to ensure that we hire the right board members, and for that, we need to perform an interview. The interview should um, really thoroughly ask important questions that really contribute to the company. We also human resources need to be established because the Department of Human Resources is really important, which will help to um, maintain order between the labor and top and between the labor workers and also the top boss. And employment itself for any laborers should also undergone through intense interview to make sure that their goal their goal to work with the company matches with the company goal. All right, and finally is financial and tax planning. All right, this is the most um, underrated steps when setting up a company. Many companies, once they earn certain amount of profit, they spend more on the company itself and not actually planning on their financial state. So what I meant by financial state is that the financial investment that can be done for the company. So for example, when a company is performing well, another way to actually secure the continuous profit for the company, it is wise to invest in other companies that are listed in the Bursa Stock Exchange, investing in also cryptocurrencies, or also um, creating bonds between companies. So why is this important? Is that investing in other companies help us to reduce the risk of our company itself. So we are actually sharing the risk that we are carrying from our company to the other companies around. And um, it is important because once our investment has grown better, we get more earning that we can use to our company itself. And also do not forget about tax planning. Why tax planning is important is that certain companies do do neglect the importance of taxing, which results in um, in abundant um, tax at the end of the term. This is because improper management of tax causes them to having a wrong calculation, resulting in high amount of tax to be paid. So that is why it's important to have a financial and tax planner to be hired by the company to always regulate the cash flow of the company and always ensure an efficient and ever-growing performance of the company. All right. So next, I'll explain the techniques to add value to the company once our product has matured. So what I mean by matured is when there is a stagnant in the growth of the company where the product sales are not growing in a exponential growth that we desire. So one of the ways is actually first, the common way is advertising. So advertising actually helps to give even further reach of our company to anyone um, beyond our target market itself. So for example, since our target market is in a residential area or city center, we want to expand our market to even more rural areas or even any other target. It can be done through advertising. There are many forms of advertising, which are from billboard market advertising or even TV advertising, social media advertising, and so on. All these can be utilized by our company to actually promote our product to further increase the product value. So another way is also to invest in R&D. R&D actually stands for research and development. So why R&D is important is to um, continuously keep up with the trend that is occurring within the people. For example, there's an example I would take from a Tesla company. They have actually um, created a system where users are able to um, change their sound of their horn. Yes, it might look a bit simple and funny, but things like this can go viral to the social media, from from that itself, a lot of people were actually recognizing that Tesla, oh, people are able to change their own horn and become more interested. It's little things like this that are actually promoting the company itself. So always invest in R&D to always look out for any improvement that can be done for the company. And finally, another way is to public list the company. So public listing is actually a way to actually increase the value of a company by actually calling in more investors, retail investors, or even any company investors or big investors. So why is this important is that with more investors, we can actually get more funding to actually improve our R&Ds and also advertising. So when more people are actually involved in this company, they can also share the idea together, collectively share to improve the company even further. So it is a really good way to actually add value to the company. And for any flaws and any problems faced in the company itself, we can be um, discussed collectively to all the shareholders itself. And also, it also creates a trust between the shareholders and also the company. This form of trust and bond is it's really important for the company to maintain a healthy and strong company. All right. Now, the question of is it worth it for this company? So I would, for before I get into that answer, I would say that this company is fully and partially electric, which is better for the environment. We see that these days every vehicle are using fossil fuels. So we know that fossil fuels in one day will go extinct. It will finally be diminished, and we can no longer use any fossil fuel. And where do we look after that? And obviously, we'll be looking towards the renewable energy or also the form of electric. This is where our company will actually boost up at these times. But before it happens, we want to well establish the company from now itself. Moreover, using the causes of human-based errors is removed from the equation where autonomous vehicles were perfected. This is putting into the context of road accidents. So we see that in most of road accidents, we see it's because of human errors, which are reckless driving, speeding, intoxicated while driving, and so on. So all these human errors are actually from where removed from this equation because autonomous vehicle does not have all these human-based errors. So this is a way of showing the safety of our product. Autonomous vehicles also eliminate the sensing and perception error of human that causes accidents. We know that humans have a sort of a delay between their reaction, delay in the action from their reaction. So since autonomous vehicles do not have this sort of sensing and perception error, it takes action immediately, which helps to prevent a sudden accident that happen in the road. So to the answer of is it worth it, it is definitely worth it. So finally, I will explain about the project planning if this company is to be established. So here is a flowchart of the project planning. So firstly, we see that the frame, once it is started, the frame and engine build by partnering automotive company will be done. So since we are partnering with a local Malaysian company, which is Prodo and Proton, we will pitch our idea. We will pitch our idea for an electrical autonomous car, for an autonomous car, and we will discuss with them on the frames and the engine build for them to actually build, since they have more experience in that industry, because our industry is more focused on the autonomous part of the vehicle. Next, we'll be incorporating electronical sensors and mythical parts once you have achieved the frame and the engine build from the partnering company. And then we'll be testing the sensor function, whether it is functioning properly or not. The sensors include the LiDAR sensors, the radar sensor, the GPS sensor, and so on. So once the functions are functioning very well, we'll move on to the programming at the autonomous feature. So autonomous feature will be programmed by a programmer to ensure that it is um, working together. All the sensors are working together to form the autonomous feature. And once it is completed, we will have overall functionality test and attaining safety approval. Once the vehicle is already been set up with all the programming for autonomous vehicle, several test runs will be done, and also safety approvals will be obtained to ensure that the car is safe to use by the people. Once all the safety has been approved and the tests have shown tremendous success, the the product will finally be completed and ready to be sold in public. So that will be the overall project planning for our autonomous car vehicle. So that's all for me. Next, I'll pass on to Akmal Vidi for conclusion.
So as for conclusion, students able to understand what are the main things that needed to be taken care of when they trying to develop a product. They use intelligent products, but they also need to identify too what are the impacts of the intelligent products and not intelligent product, intelligent control into the society and environment. So if the fuzzy controller, as the fuzzy controller being applied in the car, so they're able to detect the surrounding car, it is good or not, that it able to detect. It also able to detect animals and pedestrian. Is it good? I think it's good because it increase the safety of the car, safety of the people surrounding, safety of the animal surrounding. Most animals died being crashed by a car, being hit by a car. So you also can reduce the death of animals around it. And then instead of thinking about the impacts of the environment, to then also think about the challenges that being faced in trying to propose the product. So of course, the money is the first problem, because if we don't have the money, then how we can we start the research and development? And then second, we need to face the or solve the problems that actually that frequently and very normal, that is usually very widely happen in the road or on the highway, which is reckless driver. So because if we implement this and then we have a lot of reckless drivers, then the accident of the car will also raise. But if we start to implement it, then the number of reckless driver is going to reduce day by day, because even reckless drivers also don't want to drive the car. Sometimes they also know that they are driving recklessly or dangerously, so they also wanted to try. We can promote to them this car, and then promote the system. It is also not for the safety of them. It is also a safety of the family, their sons and kids. And then the next is to identify the project management. So how we manage the project and identify the Gantt chart or the plan management on how we want to, okay, for this month what needed to be done, what needed to be invest, what needed to be buy, like our components or what, and then how much we spend in a month, and then all of that is being taken care of. So this project teaches student a lot on what they research, and then they also help students understand that creating a product is not only for the human, but it's also for the environment too. and then product cannot be created like blindly created without taking care of sustainability and the project management and finance too. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, that's all from us. Thank you very much.